My history in kneeboarding and years of show skiing experience put me in an excellent position to do well in competition. In 1985 and 1986, I took first place overall in the Open Division at the first two AKA Nationals held down on the bayou in Plaquemine, Louisiana. Events included spins, slalom, and tricks. Spins were a holdover from the days when people were just learning how to ride. How many 360s you could do in a set time was not very compelling. The event was discontinued in the top divisions after lots of ties and reruns. The slalom event was a real challenge that I excelled at. It helped that I had spent a couple of summers running the course on a slalom ski. That experience allowed me to break the national record numerous times. The men's open division used a standard 6-buoy slalom course with the top speed of 24 miles per hour. Running the course at 32 or 35 off was a good score. Shorter lines and higher speeds made it easier to negotiate the smaller wakes and stay low to the water. Many riders used a specialized board just for this event. Tricks was the event that garnered the most excitement. I used my background in hot dogging and freestyle jumping to land the first front flip and wake 540 front to back at an AKA event. In 1985 and 86, stand-up tricks were still allowed, and I took advantage by filling one complete pass with those high-scoring moves. The $20 I lost on the bet with Mike paid off with several national records. The Mannion family was among the first to switch to the AKA. Mary Mannion knew the AKA needed industry support and contacted Danny Churchill at Hydroslide. Churchill agreed to include AKA promotional literature with each Hydroslide that was sold. Mary wrote numerous articles for all the major trade magazines to spread the word about the fun and challenge of competitive kneeboarding. Writing about the top riders was a no-brainer, but she also emphasized the family aspect of kneeboarding. Her hard work for the AKA resulted in a sponsorship from Nautique Boats for her family, a first in kneeboarding. She helped form the popular MAP Kneeboard Club, an acronym for the founding families of Mannion, Andrus, and Piper. The early days of the AKA were helped by the structure of the AWSA, but events were still more about fun than serious rules. I was among those who got to ride even after missing a mandatory riders meeting. Even showing up late for a start time would often result in still getting to ride later. With all the best kneeboarders attending the same events starting in 1986, there was an explosion of new tricks at almost every tournament. Several of the best riders attended each of the dozen or so tournaments held each year. Mario Fossa was one of the top riders who came to the AKA events with his new tricks. We were impressed with his surface roll, similar to a barefoot tumble turn, but it was the new way to flip that really got people excited. Mario's breakthrough move was called the wake jump to air roll. Mario flew low and fast across both wakes on a regular jump, then bounced in the flats to throw a back roll without the wake. A whole new avenue of tricks was opened up. Another long-running specialty for Super Mario was the Flipout. He was among the first to flip in both directions. The rules were simple: do as many flips as possible in 20 seconds. Most tournaments had the Flipout, but scores were not included in scoring for the overall title. I never really pursued the Flipout, even though Hydroslide was putting up cash prizes. It was hard for me to get motivated to train for flips back and forth across the wake. I was a showman who wanted to keep onlookers engaged with my riding. To me, the same flip after flip was just plain boring. The Flipout was a great incentive to get people flipping in the early days, but after a while the event got monotonous. Lance Walker grabbed attention in the mid-1980s with a high-flying move he called the layout. We had another name for the cool-looking move. The Star Wars trilogy was in its original release, so we called Lance and his signature move Skywalker. The trick was probably a crossover from a cable skiing move called the Flying Indian. Steve Fontaine used a pair of jump skis to get laid out on the corner of the cableway. But it was Lance who was the first one to do a layout directly behind the boat. His innovative trick can best be described as an air railie on a kneeboard, but he did it several years before Darren Shapiro made one on a wakeboard in 1991. Ramon Herrera was another early inventor of new tricks. He used his cat-like riding style to take Mario's jump-to-roll combo to the next level. Ramon threw a big backside roll across the wakes. Then he bounced directly into another roll. He did not hesitate between the flips. The introduction of the combo rule really opened the door for a whole new category of exciting new moves, and much later the concept had a dramatic impact on sit-down hydrofoiling. With the newfound celebrity of riders and the high interest in competitions, the industry promoted kneeboarding heavily. Money was spent in advertising and promotions. The magazines regularly featured instructional articles and colorful pictures of us flipping and flying. Now, for the first time, instruction for the new moves was widely available. Our tips and tricks were plastered in every issue of Water Ski magazine, and several instructional videos were produced and sold. A couple of top athletes even made themselves available at ski schools specializing in kneeboarding. It was the first time in water skiing that the thrill and excitement of flips and fun was available to recreational riders. More people than ever bought boards and took them out to get dizzy. Many riders got sponsored, and the top tier even started earning decent money as professional kneeboarders. A select few of us became recognizable in the larger water skiing circle. Mike Rhino Reinman was known for his aggressive style and go-forward attitude. Rhino started out exclusively on the ski ricks and cable in Deerfield Park, Florida. He was one of the earliest kneeboarders to generate air on the sharp turns of the cable course. One advantage to the cable is the upward pull of the rope, and Rhino used the floating effect to land another spectacular move in kneeboarding, the backwards back flip. He cut out in the corner and turned backwards just before the rope lifted him off the water. While he was in the backwards position, he threw his head and shoulders and performed a backwards flip. Once Rhino transferred his skills from the cable to behind the boat, he became an intense competitor who always challenged for top honors. I wanted to add another big trick to the growing list, but my pursuit led to plenty of pain. The Mobius was one of the new tricks being demonstrated on the Water Ski Pro Tour by freestyle jumper Scotty Clack. He came into the ramp wrapped up while riding his 2 jump skis. The maneuver was a backflip with a full twist, and it was a crowd favorite. It didn't look easy, but it did look like something that was doable on a kneeboard. I could already do a backflip on jumpers off the ramp, and helicopters on the kneeboard were no problem, so combining the two shouldn't be that hard. I took my orange Hydroslide Pro out for a spin at the Marine Stadium. My thoughts were to get plenty of height, throw the gainer straight back, and let the rope do the spinning. The first few tries were close enough. I was coming around, but losing the handle. On the 4th or 5th try, I under-rotated the gainer and caught the tip of my board. I went straight out the front, and my right arm went into the handle almost up to my armpit. The line came tight, and the handle wrenched my arm as it got violently yanked out. What happened next was like the scene from the recently released Michael Jackson video Thriller. My arm literally transformed right before my eyes. It went from normal size to 3 times as big in a matter of minutes. I could barely lift it. Grandma used to freeze water in old milk cartons for the ice chest, and I tore into one to get the swelling down. I iced my arm continuously over the next few hours, and it seemed as if the worst was over. Not so. My injured arm throbbed for at least an hour every night for the next 8 months. The daily pain reminder must have been a mental block for me and the Mobius. That's one trick I never made on the water. While we worked on creating new moves, the equipment moved forward too. New boards, with design input from riders, were being released at a steady rate. The knee strap made another stride forward thanks to Lonnie Marchand. He created a single-piece triple-locking strap that was not fixed at the footman loops. Lonnie's new cinch strap was the first to fit a wide range of riders. That was a huge step for the majority of people who shared a kneeboard. Lonnie continued developing his strap, and a couple of years later came up with the breakthrough that became the industry standard. His 2-to-1 strap was a triple job that was fixed on one side. After the second layer was secured, the third went through a D-ring on the strap itself before folding over. This neat little addition meant that a rider pulling on the top strap was able to pull twice as hard with the same effort. For serious riders, it was easier than ever to get a secure fit on the board.